Alright, everybody, I'm back. I'm going to talk about another One Piece arc. This one is for Arlong Park, which is considered, for when it comes to One Piece, considered like when people really get into it, because it is such a long first season East Blue arc thing. From what I've seen, when people comment, it's like Arlong Park is like, this is what made me get into it, There's a specific moment in Arlong Park that we'll talk about that I think is like the hype part, but we'll get there when we get there. So, Arlong Park is, according to One Piece Wiki, 14 episodes long. That's not that much. But I would have guessed it was like 25. I thought this arc went on forever because there's so much of it that's not in the live action, because I came from the live action. If you've been following me, you know that. But if this is the first video you click, I want you to know that I came from the live action. So I'm like, there's so much going on here that was not in the live action. First off, they all show up together in the live action because Nami leaves them. She's an Arlong pirate. I think in this arc is where you find out her story, as in she had her adopted mother, and then Arlong comes into this town, takes control of this town, and her mother doesn't have enough money to pay tribute for her, Nami, and Nami's sister. So she ends up pretty much trading her lives for her daughter's lives. They murder their mom in front of them. Messed up. So Nami makes a deal with Arlong. It's like, hey, look, I'm joining your crew, but this is what's gonna happen. I'm gonna buy back this town from you. And he's like, yeah, 100 million berries, I think was the price. So she's made it her life mission to get the money so she can buy back her town and free everybody from Arlong. So that's what she's doing. She cons the guys, she leaves them at the Barati. And in the anime, let's see. Usopp and Zoro, and then two guys that Zoro knows, they go separately than Sanji and Luffy. So I think it's Usopp, Zoro, and one guy, and then it's Luffy, Sanji, and another guy. Luffy and Sanji encounter this giant cowfish thing. It might have been important. I don't remember it being important, other than I think they use it to get there. When Zoro and Usopp show up, they're kind of found out. So Usopp ditches Zoro, and Zoro's captured, I believe. So there's more fish people in this one than there was in the live action too. There's one with a pucker lips who Usopp ends up having to take out, which does happen in the live action. And then there's the big one with the big old fins, who's Fishman Karate, that Sanji gets paired up to take out. And then so in the anime, there's this guy who's an octopus fishman, I guess. He's got 3 or 4 arms, and he's a swordsman, I believe. And he's got this long snout like Birdo from Mario. He's completely missing from the live action, unless he's in the background somewhere. I didn't know. He's not in the live action. Usopp is captured, taken to Arlong, and confronted by Nami. He confronts Nami, and Arlong's like, hey, guess what? Go stab this guy to prove your loyalty to me. So she goes up to him, gives him the stab. It turns out she stabbed her own hand so that blood would fall out. And fakes Usopp's stabbing. He gets away. They eventually all meet up. Nami gives Arlong the money, and then no. Arlong takes the money. Yeah, he steals it. He sends some guys to steal it from Nami, which was the plan all along. He wasn't actually going to be giving up the place, and it leaves Nami in this state of just depression and like emptiness, and like my whole life I've devoted to this, and now I'm going to start over. And she has this Arlong tattoo on her shoulder. She starts stabbing at it and crying and like screaming Arlong's name. And I remember I didn't get emotional in the anime because I'd already seen the live action, like I said, but in the live action one I was like starting to tear up. I'm like, oh man, this is crazy. And then like boom, Luffy catches her arm before she like stabs herself again. And she like looks at Luffy and is like, Luffy, I need help. And she's like crying. And she's like, will you help me? And she's like crying. And then like Luffy takes his hat off, puts it on her. This is the part I'm talking about, by the way. Puts his hat on her head and is like, of course I will. And then they decide they're gonna storm Arlong Park. And there's like this walk and there's this music and oh, it's so good. And I remember in the live action being like, yo, this show is something else, because I'm hyped. I have no connection to these characters, but something's about to go down. And in the anime, there's a certain song that plays in the anime a lot, and it plays over this. Boom, 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 boom. Anytime that song hits, I'm like, ooh, it's good. And like I say, Sanji has to fight this person, Usopp has to fight this person, Zoro's fighting this person, Luffy obviously is against Arlong, but there's like, he gets stopped for a little bit because they throw him in the pool, and Luffy can't swim because he's got devil fruit powers. So like Sanji's having to save him. He goes down there to save him, but then Fish Karate Bro jumps in the pool, and he's got an advantage because he's a fish man. So that, puts a halt on Sanji. So actually a lot of the citizens of the town pull together, like including like the sergeant and like Nami's sister, pull together to get Luffy out. It's always nice seeing the citizens, standing up to, like, one of the first things, that you're going to think of is like Spider-Man. When like, hey, you know what, this is New York. You mess with one of us, you mess with all of us, It's like the villain, like eventually the civilians are going to like get involved too. And there's a lot of good action, and Luffy eventually does the whole iconic Gum axe where he takes his foot way up there, just destroys everything. And by the end of the arc, Arlong is dead, I believe. I don't remember. I don't know if he comes back or not, like I said. To my knowledge, he's dead, but it wouldn't surprise me if he comes back, just because he's like kind of the big first villain and such a nemesis to Nami. So I halfway expect him to return. I don't want any spoilers, but it would not surprise me if he was not dead. But there might have been a scene in there where like they show that, there's no way he's dead. So that might have happened. It's been a while. But Nami eventually joins the Straw Hats officially. She gets her tattoo changed from Arlong into like a pinwheel, which is what her mom used to make pinwheels with the tangerines. They put some tangerine trees on the Going Merry. Luffy gets his first bounty. Where I'm at, I still don't think any of the other crew, because they always mention that Luffy and Zoro have bounties, and then the rest of them do. Robin does now, from where I'm at. But yeah, I don't know if the rest of them have bounties. I assume they do, because of where I'm at. I'll talk about that later. So, Arlong Park, I get why it's like the big, like first, like, oh yeah, I'm into this now. And sadly, that wasn't it for me. It took a little bit longer for me to like, cause I was watching One Piece on and off. I was like, there would be times I'd watch it, I wasn't. Cause I've been watching it very consistently until like I eventually just like really fell in love with it. But this sadly this wasn't it for me. I'm glad it was for everyone else. I think it's because I had seen the live action though, and I was like, there's so much here that like they finished it in the live action pretty fast. They handled it, and there's a lot of extra crap that I'm not. So like I feel like if you watch the live action first, it can mess with the first season in that way. But I mean, it's still good looking back on it. Arlong Park's a good arc. Thumbs up. Now, where I'm at currently, I'm in like this. I'm in the Enies Lobby arc, I guess. But I feel like I'm in like post Enies Lobby. Because I remember after Alabasta, there was a post Alabasta arc. And like each Straw Hat has their own episode before the next saga or whatever you want to say. I feel like I'm in that. Whatever the Enies Lobby saga was. Like there's like this little in-between part where now like each character has a little one-up episode. It's filler. That's where I'm at right now. It's okay. And somebody commented and told me that from now on, because like you're doing these like while you're watching them, when you're watching them, take notes. Because like I said, like about Arlong, like, oh, I don't really remember. Someone's like, so the things you want to mention, take notes of. And I was like, smart. So while I was watching Enies Lobby, I was taking notes. So when it comes time, I will have notes about certain things. If you have a question, you can leave it here. Let me know what you thought about the Arlong Park. Was this the arc that made you fall in love with One Piece? How many times did you watch the walk to Arlong Park? I've seen it quite a bit myself. Yeah. Anything that has to do with the Arlong Park, comment, talk about it. But if Arlong is eventually coming back, please don't spoil that for me. Let me be somewhat surprised. You know what I'm saying? So, One Piece Arlong Park arc review done. So next would be what is it called? Logtown. That will be the next arc we got to cover. So come back. But I got 2 movie reviews coming out following this. So stick around. Like, subscribe, and I'll see you next time.